And it's 10 a.m. right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Welcome to the midweek edition. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. It's Business Morning live from Channels HQ. It's great to have you join us. I'm Ladi Williams. Let's kick off your morning now with the market to see Malaysian palm oil futures extended gains to second session today as lower than expected stocks and strength in related oils helped lift prices. The benchmark palm oil contracts, the FCPOC3 for February delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange gained about 1.54% to $894 per ton by midday break after gaining 4% on Tuesday. Analysts say palm oil may test a resistance at 4,029 ringgit a ton, a break above which could lead to a gain to 4,132 ringgit. Palm oil is affected by price movements in related oils as they compete for a share in the global vegetable oil market. All right, moving on to the global oil market now, talking about Brent and WTI. We see oil prices fell after industry data showed a surprise build in U.S. crude inventories against analysts' forecast of a decline, reinforcing fears about weakening demand even as supply tightened. Brent crude futures dropped 18 cents to $80.50 per barrel, while U.S. WTI crude futures fell about 34 cents to $75.05. The U.S. Federal Reserve policymakers are expected to raise interest rates by 50 basis points today, slowing from 75 basis points pace they had stuck to in meetings since June. As they grapple with the inflation, and we see OPEC also saying it's in its latest monthly report that is expecting to see robust global oil demand growth in 2023 with potential economic upside coming from a relaxation of China's COVID-related policies. And back here, lawmakers in the lower chamber have called on the Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, to within the next 1 week end the artificial scarcity of petroleum products, especially the premium motor spirit in the country. Following a motion moved by Mr. Saidu Abdullahi, members unanimously adopted the motion, saying the situation has further grounded economic activities due to no specific reason. The House worries that if the situation continues, the festive period will bring unbearable hardship to their constituents as the price of goods and services will skyrocket. Take a listen.
Nigerians have been subjected to untold hardships caused by the lingering petrol scarcity, affecting economic activities and making the already trying times in the country more difficult. Further note that the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority advanced excuses to justify the first scarcity. Firstly, when the scarcity reared its ugly head at the peak of the rainy season in October this year, the agency said the fuel scarcity in Abuja and other northern states was caused by rainfall, which submerged the greater part of Lokoja, including the highway leading to Abuja, a development that grounded all vehicular movement along that route. Aware that soon after floods and rains receded in Lokoja and the petrol scarcity continued, the president of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria said the situation has continued to persist because of the supply gap created by the blockade of Lokoja. The IPMAN affirmed that there was enough product in the depot and that the lingering scarcity was only caused by the break in supply of the product. Further aware that when the scarcity continued and all the excuses advanced by the stakeholders watered down, the National Operations Controller of IPMA advanced another reason and argued that the scarcity is because of an unsteady supply of the product. Concerned that intelligence reports on current fuel scarcity gathered by our securities agencies indicated that there is a deliberate plan by some oil marketers to derail the effort of the government in the distribution of fuel in the country by hoarding the petroleum products and thereby creating artificial scarcity all over the country.
And now to our first conversation. According to the NBS, a whopping 133 million Nigerians, over 60% of the total population in Nigeria, cannot meet their basic needs, including food. And food security has been a major talking point this year. And as the general elections draw close, the major political contenders have put forward their manifestos, and today we'll be focusing on their plans for agriculture. And we have with us right here in the studio, Mr. Emmanuel Ijewere, President, Nigeria Agri Business Group. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
So we've seen, most of these manifestos, and I'll start with the APC, manifesto. They said they will increase the arable land cultivated from about 35% to 65% in 4 years. How workable is this, and is this actually what we need, to ensure food security?
I don't think so. You first of all must identify what the problem is. Nigeria is one of the least productive countries in the world in terms of agricultural output. Nigeria has a lot of good arable land, but it's not being cultivated. The education of the farmers really does not exist in Nigeria. They're not improving. And what has also happened is that since 99% of agricultural activities take place in the villages people are just moving out of the villages, going to the cities. And these are the people who can work. So we're left with older people whose ideas were what their grandfathers taught them. The world has moved, but they are unable to move. Those who are supposed to help move have moved to the cities. So it's not the amount of land you cultivate, it's what quantum of products come from the land you have. I'll give an example. One of the most difficult countries in the world is the Netherlands. A small land, and even their land, a lot of it is underwater. Yet, they are about the second largest producer of food because they use their brains to use the little land they had. Nigeria has so much land, and yet inefficiencies in the system. And what also makes it interesting is the fact that the Nigerian farmers, despite the fact that they are one of the most hardworking people in the world and least rewarded people, they produce over 120% of the food we need to eat. But the system is fractured. The value chain is fractured. So only about 65% or even 50% of the food they work so hard to produce end up on your table. So we lose the others. So increasing the land is not the solution. Making the value
But is
chain,
it part of the solution?
It's not. Because if you go and take more land, what you do is you carry the inefficiencies to more land and you make those land more wasteful. The ones you have now, you can make them more productive by having the right kind of seed, the right training of the people, a better value chain. Do that. Because we're already producing more than 120%. If out of 120% we lose only 20%, there's enough 100% for us to eat. Right now we're losing about almost 50 or 60%. So the solution should be, look at what is the problem. It's not a question of increasing land. That's my thought on that.
Okay, then now, obviously the APC did have other plans in the manifesto for agriculture, but let's move to the PDP now. They talk about addressing bottlenecks and challenges to accessing finance, and obviously we know finance is an issue for farmers at this time.
The thinking, my thinking that I'm going to present to you now comes from one of the people I have the greatest respect for revolutionizing agriculture in Nigeria, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. He was a former Minister of Agriculture. He revolutionized it. He had the courage to change what was thought was unchangeable. And his concept was this, that agriculture should be a business. It's not just an activity. And what he also said was that money is the last thing. Think of it first. Plan it. And then when you have now planned it, money now can now follow it. So if you see it as a business, treat it as a business. So when you say you throw money at it, the moment money comes in, corruption immediately follows. Politicians see it as a place of making money. And many of these farmers themselves are illiterate. Whatever they give to them is what they say, thank God, that's all I got. But that is not what the nation is supposed to give to them to help them grow. So therefore, money is not the issue. I'm actually happy that the central bank came with this anchor borrower scheme. It was very well structured, very well thought out. So they are doing the right thing, but the wrong way.
And we did hear the CBN say, their interventions did save us from famine.
Well, it had a positive impact, but not, I would say, 25 to 30% impact. The reason is that you cannot shave a man's head behind his back. when Central Bank was putting this beautiful idea together, did they bring the farmers? Did they bring the activists, those who are actually working in the agricultural space, to think about this with them? Or they sat down in an air-conditioned office and perceived what the problems were? And we have the money, we provide the money. That's the only thing that I think went wrong. But the idea was good. The anchor borrowers came, but it was business-based, bringing people together. But it did not bring the real people who are the activists together. So money is not what you throw at agriculture. The concept, who are the people, and how can you, what are the particular areas? An example is this. Nigeria has different types of soil situations in the country. And some products are more effective or more productive in some areas than other areas. You now have to carry out what is called the soil mapping and make this knowledge available. And the other issue that is also missing here is the fact that there's no competition. Agriculture is practiced in the villages. Villages are in local governments. Local governments are under the state governments. What is the connection between the state government, the local government, and the various farmers? Very little. The federal government, because what we're talking about, what we're talking is mainly now the policy of the president and his team that are coming on board. And that's at the national level. But agriculture is practiced at that lower level. It's important for you to be able to link up the thinking in Abuja with the thinking in Kafanchan, with the thinking in Umudike, with the thinking everywhere in the country. That is missing here. That's what I'm saying, that you don't throw money at it. It's not the money. The thinking first, the brain. Nigeria's future should be knowledge-based, not money-based, because money attracts corruption.
Right. All right, let's look at the Labour Party now. They've talked about moving from consumption to production, and also, marrying the long separated couple of agriculture and industry.
Yes.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, that is in consonance with the thinking of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, which was revolutionary. This is a new concept. This is clearly ahead of any other one, in the sense that agriculture should be demand-based. Demand what you want. That brings you to the business environment. The other one that they have mentioned is that the production itself should be the effort that should be put in. But you don't produce unless somebody demands something from you and the person gives you the specification of what he wants. We have always been supply based. We are producing this, we are producing that, we are producing that. Let's give the example of cassava. Nigeria is the biggest producer of cassava in the world. I think about 38 to 40% of all cassava in the world is produced in Nigeria. Despite that, Nigeria is short of cassava. Why? Because as of today, we are producing about 60 million metric tons of cassava. Because we are producing only 60 million metric tons and we are eating a lot of it, we don't have enough for the ethanol plant and the starch plants in Nigeria. So those plants, those production facilities, that's where this particular one that talked about industry is very important, cannot produce optimally because they don't have enough supply. The moment they go start producing optimally, we won't have enough gari to eat anymore. So now we have to use what we have in the country. Right now, IITA, which is one of the best research institutions in the world for agriculture, and Umudike, those are great assets. They have come up with a species of cassava that can, in 18 months, move Nigeria's cassava production from 60 million metric tons to 100 million metric tons. These are the knowledge-based things that we're talking about. It's not just making statements. It must be business-based, and there must be competition from state to state. State out what are the encouragement you will give to the private sector to come to your state to develop the agricultural space. And then you use that at the federal level, tell the world, this state says they will help you with this, they will help you with this, they will help you with this. But the states must realize that these are investors that are coming that must be encouraged to provide jobs for their people, provide food for Nigeria. That's the concept. We need to change our mindset. That's right. So this third one, the Labour Party one, appears to be, it hits it on the head. Fantastic.
All right. Looking at, all the manifestos now, and obviously come 2023, we hope that, whoever wins will actually manifest,
Yes.
to put it that way. But what recommendations do you have, as we've listed, most of these manifestos now, what would you recommend to, add, to make them stronger and secure food for Nigeria?
Whoever is going to be the Minister or Commissioner for Agriculture must not be a politician, first and foremost. Number two, they must work very closely with the research institutions, because that's where a lot of the knowledge is harbored. Number three, take out your soil mapping to be able to educate your people. Number five, collect data of your farmers at local government level. How many farmers are in yam? In fact, I was talking about yam. With further research that came out from these institutions, these research institutions, is that within 18 months today, we can double the amount of yam we are producing. They've come that far. But because there is a disconnect between government and the private sector, these things just go to waste. I come back to this again. However, the state governments and the federal government must work with mutual respect for each other, knowing the limitations of each one. The federal government is at the top there at policy level. They don't get involved in going to the farm because the federal government has no land. All the land belongs to the state governments. Therefore, you work with the state governments and say to them, we are there to support you at the national level. So, first of all, like I said, they must not be politicians. They must be people who must be given targets. If you're a commissioner or a minister of agriculture, if you're talking about rice, this year we produce this quantity of rice. In the next 12 months, we must have this. That is the examination you are supposed. We'll test you at the end of that period to see whether you achieved your goal. And make it public. The more public things are put out there, the more interest people show in it. So the other advice I will give is this, that the value chain has a lot of problems. Things like other countries that are really developing, they are having their commodity exchanges. And we have commodity exchanges in Nigeria. But government has not really sat down with them, not even government in particular. The system, if the roads are bad, you will discover that if the private sector comes in, if they know they're going to make a profit from making sure their goods move from point A to point B, by investing in improving that road, they will quietly do it. Because these are people who are investing to make money. But government seems to have a way of keeping everybody out. If you create a seamless relationship between the private sector and the public sector, that's why this Labour Party one that gives impression of industry and agriculture must work together to achieve this goal. Nigeria has a great, great future. It's all between you and I. Remove the corruption. Remove the mentality of politics. We have all that it takes. And you will notice that when a Nigerian leaves Nigeria, he gets abroad, he excels. That same Nigerian here, he just feels, there's nothing here for me. Let's change that mindset. That's basically what I'm looking at here.
So much to do going forward now. And obviously, the government create that enabling environment, yes, and step back and let the private sector, do their thing. Thank you so much. That was Mr. Emmanuel Ejewere, President, Nigeria Agric Business Group. It was great having your perspective today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, AFEX Commodities Market Update is next. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning. All right, it's time for AFEX Commodities Market Update now. And for the week ended 12th December 2022, the AFEX Commodity Market Summary was mostly in the red. For more now, let's have Omotola Akongbe, Market Data and Research Analyst, join us from our Abuja studio. Great to have you on the program. Good morning. Can we have a rundown of activities on the exchange?
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And like you said, there was a general decline across most of our key indicators. There was a decline of about 44% in the total turnover, declining from about 6.2 billion naira to close the week at 3.5 billion naira. There was also a decline of about 42% in the total volume of contracts traded, declining from about 90 million contracts to close the week at about 11 million contracts. There was a marginal decline of 0.93% in the number of deals traded, declining from 322 deals to close the week at 319 deals. There was also a decline in the AFEX Commodity Index by 6.04%, moving from 485 index points to close the week at 455.71 index points. There was a marginal increase of 0.88% in the AFEX Export Index, moving from about 231 index points to close the week at 233 index points. Across volumes of contract traded for the week, we saw an increase in the volume of maize and sorghum. Across price, it was a mixed performance across prices of commodities. Paddy rice gained 6.72% to close the week at 341.66 naira. Sorghum also gained 3.09% to close at 288.05 naira per kg. Cocoa also increased by 15.67% to close the week at 1,899.99 naira per kg. We also saw an increase of 3.57% in cashew nuts to close the week at 628.57 naira. There was, however, a decline of 5.41% in price of maize to close the week at 236.49 naira per kg. Soybean also declined marginally by 1.2% to close the week at 308.25 naira. Other commodities remain flat. For more information about our commodities or about AFEX, kindly visit our website at africaexchange.com. And to trade commodities, you can download our COMEX app on Play Store and Apple Store.
All right, I guess cocoa was a big mover there, big 15% move. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Motola Akongbe, market data and research analyst at AFEX. Thank you. All right, let's take the conversation for that now. This is that performance of the commodities market has shown incredible resilience and growth, despite the downturns witnessed in the broader investment landscape here in Nigeria. And investors are gearing up to hedge, against inflation in 2023. Let's explore instruments that can, be that great hedge, for 2023. Let's talk to Stephanie Mills now, head market growth at AFEX. Join us right here in the Lagos studio. Great to have you.
Same here, Ladi. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, so looking at the AFEX 2022 wet season report forecast, we saw a decrease in output owing to, certain limitations that we've seen, in the market. So I'm wondering how do investors, hedge against these kind of risks, in the market?
Yeah, so generally, the commodities landscape generally works on the principles of demand and supply. And so far, there's been a higher demand than supply. And this, with the continuous increase in population and the decrease in production, owing to several factors like the flood, the increase in the fertilizer due to the Russia-Ukraine war, and even the demand to sell goods in the international market has decreased the volume in the domestic market because a lot of people want to hold the dollar, right? All of these things have affected the prices, and we would continue to see increase in prices in the coming months, right? For investors, what this means is that your disposable income would be buying you less commodities in the market. As a way to hedge, we at AFEX have created innovative products to cater to different investors' appetites, different risk appetites to ensure that you're able to hedge. We have spot contracts, we have the fixed income, and we have our fixed exchange traded commodities. And this basically provides them a way to hedge against not just inflation, but the exchange rate, right? Yeah.
All right. Looking at the, different products you have, let's look at that FETC.
Yeah.
That one. Give us, how does that, really work, in, say now I want to, buy into that kind of product and, how much of a hedge is it?
In simple terms, the FETC, which is the Fair Trade Exchange Traded Commodity, that basically acts as a basket of commodities. The way I like to describe it to anybody who is not familiar with the financial space is small chops or hamper. right? So this festive period, you would like to buy some things for your loved ones, and instead of buying the 20 or 30 items in that hamper, you buy one hamper which is priced at 100,000 naira. Ideally, if you were buying the 20 or 30 items in that hamper, you'd pay probably 150,000 naira. That already saves you time in picking up those items and also the pricing. So what we've done at AFEX is to allow investors with medium to low risk to be able to hedge, in the sense that instead of buying one unit of, let's say, cocoa, maize, paddy rice, you're able to buy a basket of commodities which has all of these commodities in it, and you can gain the cumulative value from the returns on that basket. And it's a way to hedge in the sense that all of these commodities are securitized and warehoused in our accredited warehouse in the exchange.
And how do, institutional investors, come into play here with this kind of product?
Yeah, so as a way of impact investing, you're able to help a smallholder farmer who has invested, harvested their products. You're able to hedge against, buy into that and hedge, right? For the retail investor, you're saving yourself some time in watching the price volatility in the market. It's affordable. Right now, it's at 1,000 naira. So the entry barrier has been reduced. For institutional investors, they can buy in bulk and help their own clients to diversify their portfolio. So we've seen how the decline in the equities market has been over time, and people are looking for low-risk investment to hedge. With the coming uncertainties in next year, with the elections coming through, a lot more people are trying to hedge. As of July this year, Nigerians spent 19.64% more than they did last year. And I can tell you for a fact that their disposable income did not increase at that rate. So people are looking for low-risk investments to hedge and find a comfort. And we, on the back of that, have gone a step further and given a 15% minimum guarantee. And so far, we've done this issuance. This is going to be the third issuance. We started in 2020, which was the first one, and we did guarantee a 15%, but the underlying assets outperformed that and returned 68%. And that was due to the COVID period. And ginger was part of the commodities in that basket. And we saw how a lot of people were using ginger to boost their immune system, and that drove prices up. Right. Last year, we returned 30% to investors in the first tranche. We were oversubscribed and had to do a second batch, right? And that ran for 233 days, which was lower than the 270 days of the first batch. And that returned 20%. And if you look at the inflation rate right now, which is currently just slightly above 21%, it's still a good hedge right now and a safe haven for retail and institutional investors.
So is it possible for every, item, within that basket to actually go down?
Yes, it is. But
all of them?
Yes, it is. But it's actively managed by a fund manager who at different times knows when to hold certain commodities over the other during the tenure. Right. And so far, we've been able to outperform the 15% guarantee that we have given to as a comfort to investors in the past 2 years. This year, we're giving that same guarantee, but we're sure that it will outperform that. And last year, we had 3 commodities in that basket. This year, we have 4. We included the paddy rice, and we know how rice is going to be used during this festive period, and we're going to be used in the election. So we are very optimistic about the returns in the coming year.
Oh, so I should keep my eyes on paddy rice.
Yes,
you should. Well,
yeah.
how do investors, key into this asset class? You just go on your phone?
Yeah, so you could contact us at, send an email to us, contact us at afex.com. You can also reach out to our partner brokers, Marble Capital, AfriInvest, Lotus, Cardinal Stone, and the likes. You can also download the platform. We have a digital platform that allows you to trade 247. It's called COMEX by AFEX. That's COMX by AFEX. And you can find that on Play Store and Google Play. And you can download instantly. And you can have a body that can guide you through your investment journey.
Quite interesting. Well,
yeah.
Outperforming the minimum guarantee sounds good for any investor. We're looking out for all of that. Thank you so much. That was Stephanie Mills, the head market growth at AFEX. It was great having you.
Thank you very much, Ladi.
All right, we'll take a moment now. Welcome back. Let's head on to the markets now. We have Anete here to give us the details. Anete, I'm looking at that big
morning,
move
Ladi.
there. It's 25 billion.
25 billion,
Nah,
yes.
massive.
There's no need to be surprised.
Right.
The thing is that
And
red
no need to
color-
panic, I'm sure.
Yes, because the market, it's still in positive territory, particularly for the month of December.
Right.
And it's because of the NGX's one of the NGX's most capitalized, MTN Nigeria, that telco giant, telecom behemoth.
Right.
It just, it overshadowed the gains that was recorded by some
Well,
other...
this is incredible. We did get to the 49K level. Just a few steps to 50K.
Quite
But
impressive.
these kind of pullbacks are expected, heading up.
Yes, profit taking, you cannot rule out profit taking, particularly when you know, some people put their money at some point at the price level, and then when you get to some price level, they expect that, okay, let me just take advantage of this increase and then,
take some profit.
Take profit, and that will also reflect on the market.
Exactly.
So now, with that being said, this is for Tuesday's trading session, 25 billion naira. Well, actually, it's 24.8 billion naira, but when you approximate it, that gives you 25 billion naira knocked off from the total value of listed equities. In percentage term, the benchmark indicator of stocks performance, it shows that it was a 0.09% decline on the market, but still very much in the 48,000 level. At some point, it had crossed to 49,000 level at intraday on Tuesday, but retracted back to the 48,853.54 at the close of Tuesday's business trading session. Now, over to the activity chart. MTN Nigeria was the major reason why the market made that pullback. It fell by 3.26% or 7 naira, and then the share price closed at 208 naira per share. But take a look at this board here. It's mostly a green, although we had for a second day running in the week unchanged for the consumer goods as well as the oil and gas counter of the market, of the NGX market. But so far the market is up by 2.5% month to date. Year to date, it's 14.37%, so we still have it in the green for the market. Let's flip over to the activity chart. Activity chart is mostly in the green. What we have there, volume of trades was up by 134.66%. Value was up by 120.26%, which we see here. And at the same time, also, although the deals was also in the green, don't mind that color, it was up by 36.76%. So now, we had the market, at the market, we had, before we have our guests, the NGX had listed 2 new futures to the market, which is the NGX pension, as well as the NGX 30 futures contract, which will be expiring on June next year. Both were listed at different share prices. Now, to tell us more about the market, because we will be talking also about the fixed income market, let's talk to Samuel Bameke, investment research analyst at Meristem Securities, to tell us more about this market and other markets. Thank you for joining us, Samuel.
Thank you for having me, Anita. Good morning.
Okay, so I've talked more about the equities market, but when you're giving us the information, I also like to know, for the fixed income market, we saw that the markets here had declined. One of the analysts says it's attributed to concerns over the upcoming election because investors are moving their funds into the money market due to higher yields on that market following the interest rate hike. So now, can you tell us more about the correlation between this market and the fixed income market's performance as we speak?
All right. Thank you very much. So if you look at the equities markets for the past 4 weeks, the market has been closing up, and the reasons are really out there, not far-fetched. Stocks are really at cheaper prices at the moment, and we've seen that investors are already taking note of that, and we saw the positive move in the market for the past 4 weeks. But I mean, that notwithstanding, at some point we would see a reversal, especially on stocks that have appreciated for the past 4 weeks, and investors would somewhat take profits on tickers that have gained for the past 4 weeks, especially on bellwethers, and that's what we saw yesterday in the market, especially on MTN. We saw that moment on MTN, and for this week we are expecting a reversal in the trend, in the upward trend we've seen the past 4 weeks. And that's because if you look at this fixed income space, there's a lot of activity activities going on there for this week. We have a bond auction, and we also have a treasury auction. And so that will stifle liquidity and also, constrain activities and buying interest in the equities market. Then if you look at the T-bills auction last week and even at the bond auction last week, you would agree with me that what we've seen so far is oversubscription. We saw subscription to offer at the last treasury auction moving to about 13 times as against 1 times that was weakness at the previous auction. Same thing at the bond auction. And for the fixed income market, what has been driving that is because demand has been higher than supply. The CBN has been, offering lower amounts, when you compare to previous issuances, lower amounts, and we have seen increased demand on the part of investors, given the rise in yield and the attractiveness of the markets, given the general, hike in the general interest rate environment.
So thank you, Samuel. That's quite impressive. And of course, our attention is always focused on all these markets because that's where investors put their money and make the profits. Thank you, Samuel, for your time on our program. So that was Samuel Bameke, investment research analyst at Meristem Securities. Now, before I go, let's take a look at the unlisted securities market, how it turned out. The unlisted securities market, it's still on the downward trend. It's still still going down below what it started the middle of the year as well as the month. It's still down. It fell further by 0.04% against the 0.06%, which we saw it print on Monday. So this is the value, 932.378 billion naira, still falling below the 1 trillion naira level. Now, in terms of the activity is also, it also was a decline there. Volume traded there was down by 23.73%. At what you see here, 58,627 volume at the value of 3.92 million naira in 4 deals. So that's it for the markets, Ladi.
Yeah, quite interesting. And while Samuel was talking, could hear that dog barking, also trying to give us some investment advice.
Maybe some animal investment.
Some animal investment, exactly. Quite interesting. Well, we're looking out for how the market closes today. Thank you so much, Anita.
Pleasure.
All right, that was Anita there giving us the details for the equities and fixed income markets. Now, let's head on to the UK. We have Juliana standing by. Great to have you, Juliana. Good morning. Getting some good news, if I may say so myself this morning. UK inflation falls from a 41-year high. It looks like that's the trend now.
You're absolutely right, Laddie. Good morning. It does appear as if Britain's biggest economic headache may have peaked sometime in October. But if you permit me, I would like to bring you some breaking news because this is a huge story that is likely to dominate reports in the UK today. And that is that there is a serious incident currently ongoing in the Channel. Now, why is this important? Because about 18 hours ago, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, did outline his migration policy to lawmakers in the House of Commons. And this is all about the illegal channel crossings from Calais into Kent. And now, just so you know, it's about -3 degrees in London at the moment. On the Channel, it's probably about 10 degrees less than that. We have had a tweet from Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, saying that she is aware of a distressing incident in the Channel this morning, and I'm being kept constantly updated while agencies respond and urgently establish the full facts. My heartfelt thoughts are with all those involved. We've also had statements from her French counterpart, as well as the UNHCR. They're particularly worried. I believe about 30 to 40 migrants were possibly on this boat that has capsized at about 4 a.m. this morning in between France and the United Kingdom. This is certainly going to cause a severe migraine for the Prime Minister and is likely to lead to changes that were only announced yesterday. As we know, 45,000 people have crossed the Channel illegally this year. Laddie, we will be keeping you updated from the studio.
Yeah, that's quite a sad one there. We'll get more updates on that later. But it looks like we saw some strengthening with the British pound. I'm sure it's because we saw that data coming out from the US.
Yeah, absolutely right. We did have data out from the United States, the world's largest economy, showing that inflation had reached 7.1%, not as high as it is in the UK, which it is at 10.7%. It fell from 11.1%, that 41-year high, as you said, in October, down in November. However, we know that, fresh food is still 16.1% higher, so much more than it has been in recent years. I think this is what is pushing the pound up. In fact, as you were saying, the British pound is climbing to its highest peak that it has since the leadership battle that was engulfing Boris Johnson in the summer. I think one British pound will buy you about $1.24 at the moment. If you remember, Laddie, just a couple of months ago, it was about $1.08, $1.09.
Right.
So this is pretty significant, but it's been overshadowed, of course, by this awful tragedy that's currently ongoing in the Channel.
Right. All right. We'll keep tracking that. We'll get more updates on that later on Business Incorporated. Thank you so much, Juliana, for breaking that here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now let's move on to other markets. Now we see the crypto market reacting, positively to that data we got from the U.S. Yesterday. The CPI data there showing inflation actually slowed in November. And we saw Bitcoin get a big spike yesterday, jumped about 6% on that news. And we're still seeing that bullish trend going on this morning there. Bitcoin there, it's all green. Looking at Coin 360 there, showing the heat map for the crypto space. And we see it's just the stable coins mostly in the red, showing that traders are getting back into the market at this time. So let's flip over and see what the sentiment is like. It's fear, 30 points. I did mention that we might hit 30 points soon, and it has happened. It's fear now. So maybe at some point we might see greed in December. Who knows? Market cap, $871 billion. That's up 3.05%, $51.50 billion there. That's the volume traded in the total crypto space. That's up 46.60%. We see Bitcoin dominance sitting at 39.28%, trying to get back at that 40% level. Price of Bitcoin this morning, $17,790, up 3.74%, continuing that bullish move we saw with that CPI print from the U.S. that helped push up Bitcoin price there. Volume traded $25.67 billion. So we see how the crypto market, follows what's happening with the U.S. equities there. Talking about the tech-heavy NASDAQ, Ethereum wasn't left out, $1,300, jumping above that $1,200 level, 4.50% up. That's what we see happening with Ethereum there. Let's talk to Michael Inaji now, financial market analyst. It's still about the FTX saga at this time. Great to have you, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Lady.
Yeah, so yesterday we had the House hearing for the new CEO, of FTX yesterday. He did have a lot to say about what the implosion of the FTX exchange. But what were the key takeaways for you?
The key takeaways for me was it clearly was not a mistake, as Sam likes to say. Sam usually would say something along the lines of, I embarrassingly made a mistake. I can't believe I did this. He just always tried to make it seem that he made a mistake. But the CEO of the current CEO of FTX, the bankruptcy lawyer, basically said that there's no way that FTX, in the way it was structured, that Sam would not have been aware of the improprieties that was going on. Actually, there's new data that shows that Sam actually wrote he basically wanted to kill Alameda Research, which was the hedge fund arm of their company, sometime in September, but ultimately he didn't do that. So there's this credence to him trying to kill Alameda in September, basically because they were wiped out, and he basically stated that he doesn't think they'll ever be able to recover the money they've lost. And yeah, just like in general, he just knew. It's not a situation where he's trying to claim he didn't know. And at the end of the day, I think the charges that have been brought forward against him, that's really an indication as to what that's what the regulators and the enforcement agencies think. At the end of the day, Sam is one of the biggest frauds that the crypto or just financial markets in general have seen. He was hit with a litany of charges. He finally got arrested. I'll name a few: conspiracy to commit wire fraud on customers, conspiracy to commit wire fraud on the lenders, wire fraud on lenders, conspiracy to commit commodities fraud, conspiracy to commit securities fraud. All in all, the average consensus is that he could spend basically the rest of his life in jail. To be exact, I think most people are not buying that. I made a mistake anymore. So right now he was reprimanded into custody by the Bahamian authorities at some point yesterday, and he saw a judge in order to get a bail hearing. But ultimately, it was said that he's a flight risk, and so they reprimanded him back into custody of the Bahamian Royal Police Force, and so he's going to be there till February 8th, is what they're saying. But a lot of people are saying, that the Bahamian police jail service isn't one of the best in the world. What we wouldn't like to see is just not to speculate, but another kind of Epstein case where he just doesn't make it out from this incarceration. So a lot of people want to see him extradited immediately to come back stateside.
Okay, Michael, well, we'll keep tracking that story. Still an ongoing story at this point. We'll see how they bring him, if they can actually bring him to the U.S. To answer for these FTX issues. But, today is Fed decision day. Obviously, we've seen the crypto market react to that, CPI print in the U.S. What are you expecting, 50 or 75 basis points?
I'm thinking the consensus is going to come in at 50. I think they're going to keep doing, maybe they have one more 50 and then 25, but I think we're almost at the end of the rate hike cycle. Ultimately, the Fed's fund rate never has to basically exceed inflation for them to turn course. It hasn't done that yet. Never in the history of the Fed have they done otherwise. So at the end of the day, I really do think they're going to keep on hiking. Maybe not 75 basis points. Those were extraordinary measures that they have to take. But today we're most likely, I think the market's pricing in 80%. We see it for 50%.
50 basis points. All right. Thank you so much. That was Michael Inaji there, financial market analyst. Bringing us up to speed on what's happening with the FTX and the market conditions. Thank you so much, Michael. All right. Let's head back to the top alts by market cap there. See, it's all green. All green. Even though we saw BNB there did have that big dump yesterday, about 5%. It's gained back that back up $275. It did get to about $250 yesterday. And we see Cardano also enjoying the profit there, 2.65%. And Matic, 92 cents, up 3.56%. XRP trying to get to that 40-cent level. And we see the top five gainers there. We see TON topping the counter again. It's been on a bullish trend for a while now. It's $2.45, up 12.15%. And we see Phantom there. That's the DAG blockchain there, 25 cents, up 10.55% too. We see Phantom did get below that 20-cent level to about 18 cents, but we're seeing a big recovery there. And Near Protocol up 8.56%. Let's see who the top losers are there. GMX, that's been on a run. It's been gaining for the past weeks now, but it's down 9.54%. We'll see some profit taking there. And we'll see some stable coins. USDN, that's depegged from the US dollar there. That should be $1, but it's 74 cents. We do know what's happening with the crypto space at this time with stable coins. All right, that's the show today. That's it on the for the markets, and that's it for the show today. Don't forget to join us by 1:30 p.m. on Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. And you can watch this again and all our other shows on our YouTube channel. Just flip over to YouTube, search for Channels Television, and you can watch all our productions. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.